Why is this recommended? Is there an issue? No, it's just recommended. By who? Well, the manufacturer. I didn't find it anywhere in my manufacturer's book. I told him that. I said, I've looked through this owner's manual. I don't see anything in there. He was super rude to me. Well, good morning and welcome back, Guys Talking Cars. Hey, just a quick update. I know that this is applicable to everybody, but when you go and get your car serviced at a dealer, how many of you are just disgusted with the added upcharges every time you go in for what you think is a simple oil change or a simple service? All right, let's get into it. So my wife has a Mazda CX-90, and it's a newer car. I think it's a 2023. It's got 25,000 miles on it. And kudos to Mazda. This is not calling out a particular dealer or a car brand, because the reality is every car dealership does this. We know that upselling is pervasive within the car dealerships. 40% of their revenue comes from sales, service, parts, and these sales managers get a commission. So let's face it, they're doing their job. But here's what I hate is you call and you say, I'd like an oil change, and you go in and they type in your name and they're looking at their computer, and this is what they do. Oh yeah, Mr. Johnson, it looks like your car is also due for a brake flush and a transmission flush and a cabin air filter. None of this was recommended by a mechanic that's looking at your car. You're telling me that the screen magically scanned your car? And so there's these prompts, of course, within the system that says, oh, recommended. Here's the deal. The vast majority of that is totally useless. Brake flushes, transmission flushes, all this extra add-on stuff for the most part, unless the mechanic is like, oh, your brakes are worn out or your rotors are warped or something from the mechanic. This stuff is totally, in my research and experience, totally useless. And I've looked at my owner's manual. I've read this online. Very few things on these cars need to be done, because they have these benchmarks like 30,000 or 50,000 miles, where these services can be easily $1,000+ So I went in, and this is what I did. I went in and she had an oil change, and now the oil changes are $159. Well, they wanted the cabin filter and they wanted to charge $119. And guess what? On Amazon, I can get it for $17. So I told them that. I said, no, thanks. I can get it on Amazon and change it myself. They were, slightly annoyed with that, but this is a tip for you guys: is don't go through and itemize, and don't just take what they say. Ask question: why is this being done? Who's recommending it? Is it in the owner's manual? Right? Just because some computer screen pops up and says service due. So they recommended like $1,100 worth of stuff on a car that has 25,000 miles on it, including some sort of a brake flush. Oh, it's recommended. You flush the. No, it's not. So I ended up doing the tire rotation, which I think is fine, and that's usually a free service. And I did the oil change, and I did my own cabin filter, and adios, off I went. So that was one experience. The second one was my son's maintenance light came on. And this is another thing that I don't like, is I feel like it's not a feeling. It's true that the auto industry is, just in lockstep with the, let's say Honda. Honda has their software program to tell the dealership when certain maintenance stuff comes on that aligns with their stuff. It doesn't mean the car needs it. So I get this maintenance light that comes on. They run the code and they call me, and basically there was no issue with the car. The code basically said maintenance due, 50,000 miles. And it was, no kidding, it was $1,400 worth of recommended service. Again, it was the brake, the tire rotation, the cabin filter, the air filter, the oil change, the transmission, all of this stuff on a 50,000 mile Honda that had no issues. We've kept that car perfectly maintained. And I kind of argued with this guy. I said, why is this recommended? Is there an issue? No, it's just recommended. By who? Well, the manufacturer. I didn't find it anywhere in my manufacturer's book. I told him that. I said, I've looked through this owner's manual. I don't see anything in there. He was super rude to me. So I basically said, I don't want anything done. Do not do anything other than the oil change. I'll change my own cabin filter. I'll change my own air filter, which is a K&N air filter, and they hate that when that happens. So he was annoyed, super annoyed. I probably robbed him of, $150 worth of commission. They changed the oil. I did everything else. I changed the cabin filter. I changed the air filter. But it got me thinking how many people are bringing their car in and just trusting that the dealership has your best interest, right? That they're saying, oh, I really care about your car, and these things are going to help your car down the road. And if you're spending it $30,000 and $50,000 and $75,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in service, man, just in this economy and with the price of these cars and with the technology that's in there, BS. I call full BS. It's a full scam. So my takeaway is know what's due. Call and clarify what you're asking. And if it's just an oil change, consider going somewhere else, just an oil change place, so that you're not getting that. The only reason why I like to go to the dealer is that it's documented in the history of like where it was done, and I get consistent, printouts of the multi-point and all that. And so for future owners, or when if you sell, you can, show that it's been serviced. But yes, call, itemize it, push back, do things on your own that you can do for cheap. Do your research, because I'm telling you right now, it is a giant kick to the what every time you go into these dealers where they they hear you, but they want to upsell. So please watch the upsell charges. If you've got a story like mine, which I know you all do, share it here in the in our community, or just in the feedback. I had a couple other thoughts, but I'm not sure it's pertinent so much, that which is, if you've got a service contract, be careful of those too, because I feel like the vast majority of those service contracts are a scam, and a lot of these dealers are now sort of making you feel like it's mandatory. When you go to close the deal and you've got your payment or whatever you're doing on that, or you think you've got it, and they go, okay, which service plan would you like? As if it's mandatory. BS. Turn it down. The research is very clear that 75 to 80% of patients, I love it, people never use those, and the 20% that do use those don't even come close to the cost of that. Anyways, hope this is helpful. Even if I've helped one person, that would make my day. And that is my PSA for today. You guys take care. Until next time, GTC, take care.